is going on, everybody? Welcome into a special edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat stand-up here on this gorgeous Friday, August 4th, 2023. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Dallas, Texas. I'm going to make this one short, guys. You've stuck with us all week. You appreciate it. We've got our weekly recap coming up, where Stu and I will cover and replay all of the top segments from the last week. It was a great week. Solo show last night by myself. Stu did one 2 nights ago. You've got 2 shows of us together. Great week, guys. We appreciate you checking us out. As always, www.energynewsbeat.com. It's where all these stories come from. Check us out. Stuart Turley, Michael Tanner on LinkedIn. Questions at energynewsbeat.com. Dashboard.energynewsbeat.com. I'm turning it over to the team, though, in the weekly recap. We'll see you Monday, folks.
This is not just about fossil. It's not just about renewable energy. It's about energy. A silent threat to the energy transition, America's broken infrastructure policy. Here's some numbers in this article. The Inflation Reduction Act was really a big win for America's infrastructure and energy future. That is a misleading statement, as it had very little for the infrastructure and a lot for the renewable wind, solar, and storage. Here's the gotcha. At the end of 2022, there are over 10,000 projects, most of them wind, solar, and batteries, waiting for permission to connect to the grid, up from 8,100 the year before, according to researchers at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. Backlog projects sitting in the queue represented 1,300 gigawatts of solar, wind, and battery. This is just nuts. If anybody understands physics, you have to be able to balance out the demands of electricity by having intermittent renewable and then balance it with online energy. This is one thing to get the wind, the solar parks built, and then you got to connect them. But there is a backlog just to get them connected or approved. The Inflation Reduction Act included hundreds of billions of dollars for solar panels, and but if they can build new transmission lines at a faster, around 80% of the emission reductions expected from that bill might not happen. So, it's one thing to print money. It's another to want to go to renewable. It's another to sit there and say, we want to have total guaranteed electricity and have it at low cost. You cannot have all of your cake and eat it too, because you won't even be able to bake the cake. Some more sobering statistics. Interconnection roughly equals the installed capacity of the entire U.S. Power plant fleet, and just 14% of the capacity seeking connection from 2000 to 2017 has been built at the end of 2022. That's just nuts. We can print money, we can build the infrastructure for the wind farm and the solar farm, but we don't have the business processes to hook them to the grid. The U.S. has billions. Good luck plugging them in. Let's go to the next story. Klaus Schwab's daughter, permanent climate lockdowns coming, whether you like it or not. Michael, before we get into this article, let me explain something to our listeners right now.
Explain them.
Okay, the World Economic Forum, this is not me talking. This is not conspiracy theory. This is what they said. They are going to do a new world order, and they are all about doing climate change. Now that people are just like Sweden is saying, hey, maybe we might want to look at this cost of energy. the World Economic Forum is going to be doubling down. Climate change folks are going to be doubling down. Today, also, they had a report where it is Gulf Stream current could collapse in 2025, plunging Earth into climate chaos. We're actually bewildered. And then they're also saying that we're now a broiler for the climate. Climate change is no longer climate change. We're now broiling.
Yep. Well, so there's literally a quote here. What scares me and creeps me out about the World Economic Forum is when you get quotes like this. So I see a tremendous, this is from Klaus Schwab's daughter. What's her name? Nicole Schwab.
Right.
So I see it says there's a tremendous opportunity to really have this great reset and use this to have huge flows of money in a way that's not possible to create, blah, blah, blah. Opportunity to really have this great reset. Ooh, I got that sends chills down your front. A great reset? I'm good on that.
Let's go down here for just a little bit more. There were numerous examples of global maintaining social distancing, wearing masks, mass vaccination, and acceptance of contract tracing applications for public health. They did this in order to get it rolling, and now they're calling for a climate catastrophe. As people are waking up and going, I can't afford the renewable stuff, they're going to double down and go even worse. You're going to see it polarizing even worse.
If you're into work from home, you should applaud climate lockdowns. Ooh.
No. People are tired of wearing their bunny slippers. And I'm going to ask you this right now. How many days was the longest days in a row that you went without a shower during COVID?
Yeah. It's one I'm not comfortable answering on this podcast.
Right. You don't want to go through that again. And I'm not being locked down again. I'm sorry, it ain't gonna happen.
I just thought it's interesting pairing, but no, it is kind of scary what the World Economic Forum wants. It's not a joke. We cover it if only because these are their quotes, people. They're literally saying the Great Reset. That
this is not us. And the point.
I wish it was. I wish this was a bit. I wish we were doing a bit, but it's not.
The point that I'm trying to make is we have the ESG bouncing back. The investors are demanding their money. BlackRock has been quietly investing in oil and gas. They're going, look, that's a squirrel. And then they're investing in oil and gas. So there's the energy hypocrisy, the investing hypocrisy. It's going to get worse. Okay.
So we call an energy news beat buffet.
Billionaire Harold Hamm sees a great oil fortune still untapped in U.S. shale. Michael, did you see how I weaved all these stories in together? And I'm coming in with a really nice one here from Harold. I was on the phone trying to work around with his scheduling. We're getting Harold Hamm on the podcast. We like us some Harold Hamm. And this is pretty exciting when you sit here and think Continental, he and his family, the future is bright, said Harold during an interview with Bloomberg this month in the Oklahoma City office. I look at this as an industry that's exciting with a lot of adventure and potential for making great wealth. We certainly have seen some great days in shale, but we have a long way to go. Yay. So I'm pretty excited about this. You also have Exxon and you have their purchase of Denbury. You start looking at all of the one, they're saying there's a lot more in the Permian coming around the corner. So Hamm said it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a thrill to it, like finding ancient wealth. This guy's a rock star. So I can't wait to talk.
He's old school oil man. Like, hey, data says one thing. Data says we're We're declining oil. We're running out of oil in the Permian. We're not fine. All the data says one thing, Harold Hamm. Drill, baby. I love it.
Yep.
It warms my heart.
It is. And, he took Continental back private.
Yeah.
And
to do this, to go Wildcat. Gotta love it.
I love it. And I am all in. I couldn't be happier that by the way, his new book, we're going to be giving away 5 signed copies of Harold's new book he's signing for us. So as we get through this, we're going to have a little contest for 5 signed books from
Harold. Try to get that man on a podcast.
I'm already booking it.
Good.
Coming in.
That'll be a fun one.
Oh, it's going to be a hoot. Let's go to the next one here. Deadly cargo ship fire still burning on vessel carrying 500 electric vehicles in the North Sea. This one's pretty disturbing. I've had nightmares about the way that boat looks. It's an ugly looking box. In fact, for our podcast listeners, if the producer can slide in one of the pictures here for our video folks, but the box really looks more like a Star Wars, one of those things going across the desert on Tatooine when Luke is there and they kind of goes along and rolls along. It's a pretty ugly boat. If I was, I'd set fire to it if I had that ugly of a boat. It's called from the Hague in Netherlands, 3,500 still burning. Here's part of the problem is we've all seen that the batteries, once they get started, the lithium batteries, you can't put them out with water. The Coast Guard said it was working to save the vessel from sinking close to an important habitat for migratory birds. Boats and helicopters were used to get the 23 members off after they tried unsuccessfully to put out the blaze. I don't think they're going to be able to put that out. And that ship is going to be kind of like a ghost pirate ship. Currently, there's a lot of vessels on scene to monitor, get the hot dogs, get the s'mores, and try to at least have a decent campfire out of it. They're trying to make sure, I love this one. So we're currently working out how we can make sure that the least bad situation is going to happen. I kind of really thought that one was pretty funny. Here's where it gets a little bit of a issue. I'm just throwing these numbers out there. And a SUV weighs, I believe, around 7,000 pounds, or excuse me, EV is around 7,000 pounds. An SUV can weigh around 4,000 pounds. An F-150 gasoline type, right, will weigh 1,200 pounds less than the Ford Lightning. That is a lot of weight on there. So as that ship burns, think about how much toxins are going into the air. And then also, as that thing sinks, this, I have a feeling, is going to be worse than any oil spill. When you start taking a look at the contaminants that are coming out of there, I'm not sure. I'd like to get some numbers on it, but I'm also wondering if the news is going to cover it. So we're going to keep an eye on that.
I just find this hilarious. We've got first article, U.S. industry giant warns Democrats green energy push fuels, quote, doom economy. I love to say American fracking and oil pioneer, the interesting American oil pioneer. We've got Continental chairman and founder Harold Hamm on Fox News today. Kudlow, quote is, energy independence, it means world peace. His quote is, it's very important. I'm a patriot. I love America. We've produced something that's very good. We have to maintain that. Basically, he, amen, in my opinion, it was his first opportunity to get out in front of the news cycle, because now that Continental is no longer public, it's private, he can say whatever he wants. So he's definitely going to dive in on that. He argued that even though President Biden has waged war over the fossil fuels for the last 3 years, he says that Americans are not going for it. He says EV sales are down. Big companies are losing tons of money. The oil tycoon said, likely hinting at Ford's recent multi-billion-dollar loss. People are not going for it. The American people don't want it. I don't know if they don't want that or not, But what I do know is this. EV stocks are getting pounded. We know that. Oil and gas stocks are getting pounded. I'm looking at my board right now. A lot of red. He's coming out to make a push. Again, luckily he's private. They play by a different set of rules. So he kind of comes at a critique from he can kind of come from the sidelines. He can say whatever he wants and not necessarily need to be subjugated to a board. He is the now he's got creditors, but you know he famously wrote a $1 billion check to his ex-wife. I've seen a picture of that. It's kind of crazy. But good for Hamm getting out there. It's why he bought it, spending $20 billion to buy back Continental stock in order so you can go on CNBC. It's the world's most expensive time slot, and I'm here for it. Next up, this is scary, guys. Arizona driver says he was trapped in hot Tesla after battery died. We're just going to read a little bit of this, guys. So this is in Arizona, guys. So obviously smoking hot, 112 degrees. A Peoria man says he was trapped in his Tesla in extreme heat after the power died and didn't know how to escape. ABC 15 investigators found a dozen of drivers have filed complaints with the federal auto safety regulators who are urging car owners to learn how to manually get out in emergency. It's definitely a safety concern. It's one of the hotter days. 73. Okay, so this is all a scam because the dude was 73-year-old. Newsflash, if you're too stupid to get out of a car and have to learn how to get out of a car, just educate yourself a little bit, man. 73 years old, like, I get it. If this was a 25-year-old, I think a little bit different. But the fact that this dude's 73 might be a little bit old on my blood. He was stuck in his Tesla Model Y in his garage back in June. You feel bad for this. This is an old guy. I feel if Stu was here, I'd ask Stu when the last time he did this was. But I only kid. You feel sorry. That's not good. I mean, all jokes aside, getting stuck in a hard car is not good. But you should just probably figure out how to like open your car. To give you guys an idea, they say Tesla needs to address this. I mean, this is an interesting quote. Car safety expert Norman Hubel. It's essentially a computer on wheels that runs on a battery. It's very true. That's why personally, when I was in the market, 5 years ago for a truck, I wanted something that more, had the manual seats, something that was as little as electronics as possible so I could replace the stuff. That's the thing with these computers. You're going to geek out all these cars. I think it's great. I'm a computer guy. I got 9 screens I'm looking at right now. But what happens when they break on a car? We've figured out that screens are cheap. Throw another screen, $75. Stand, $20. Real easy to get spun up on more screens. How easy is it to get spun up on some of these parts? It'll be super interesting to see how it goes. I'd want an ejector seat. Where's the James Bond ejector seat on this? Because I'm all for that.